Hi, I'm Becky Hadding, the Program Director of the Spencer Chamber of Commerce. Spencer is celebrating their sesquicentennial 150th anniversary this year. One of the suggestions given to the Planning Committee by the residents of Spencer is to have a period clothing contest. I am at the Clay County Heritage Center in the Pioneer Cabin area, here to announce that the committee listened to what you wanted to do, and we are going to have a period clothing contest for Spencer's Flag Fest and sesquicentennial celebration. The period clothing contest is for everyone. There will be 3 categories: an individual, a family, and kids 16 and under. Registration deadline for the contest will be Friday, May 21, 2021 at 3 p.m. To register, contact the Spencer Chamber of Commerce at 712-262-5680, programs@spenceriowa.chamber.org, or stop by the office at 1805 Highway Boulevard during office hours for a registration form. Judging will take place on Friday, June 11th between 3:30 and 4 o'clock p.m. with the winners announced during the opening ceremonies to follow. For those who wish to participate but may not have time to sew special clothing for this one-time event or rent a complete outfit, Liz and Marta at Spencer Community Theater have graciously put together DIY ideas how to make a costume from your own closet in the following video filmed by Spencer Municipal Utilities.
Hi, my name is Liz McNay, and I am the Executive Artistic Director here at SCT. Welcome to the SCT Costume Shop. We're here to help you with all of your sesquicentennial Flag Fest weekend costuming needs. Today, we're going to take you through various looks, male, female, and children. We'll take you through highest fashion all the way down to the working man of the Midwest. First, let's talk about what was happening in 1871. That's the time frame where our fair city was established. 1871, Ulysses S. Grant was president, and we're 6 years post-Civil War. The Chicago fires leveled most of Chicago, and fires broke out copiously around the Midwest. The expansion of the railroad from north to south made it easier for travel and also brought the news of fashion and culture to the Midwest. Let's get started with looks. We'll start with gentleman high fashion of the age. Joining us now is Marta Johnson, our costume shop manager, and one of SCT's board of directors, Jay Norton, also owner of the local Hen House. He's going to be showing us today the high fashion for a gentleman of 1871. High fashion featured a high closed jacket and cardigan, straight trousers of the same material, keeping it monochromatic. The white collar symbolized a non-working man, so that's where we get the term white versus blue collar. Shoes were flat, often with laces. A top hat was featured, though we'll also see later a bowler, also known as a Homburg. And hair was short. Jay doesn't sport sideburns, but at the time they would have had sideburns and a mustache or a pointed or ring beard. Cutaway jackets.
That would be this.
Yep. Would be for formal occasions, and frock coats were required for formal day wear. You want to give them a twirl so they can see front and back? This is your man about town.
This is the way the back of the frock jacket would fit. The front is closed. It's here. He normally has the vest underneath. He's usually adorned with this, and then he's set to go. He's a man on the town.
Now joining us is Maggie McNay, local Spencer High School student. She is showing us the height of the Victorian period dress. Ladies' fashion was developed mostly in France and then would come over across the ocean to New York, where Harper's Bazaar would tell us about what was the height in fashion. So just keep in mind when picking your costuming, the Midwest would have been several seasons behind as far as what would be in vogue because we were waiting to get that information from New York. So featured here in 1871 at the height of fashion. Harper's Bazaar tells us, as the authority of fashion, that this was in first bustle period, which would have been a fabric draped bustle with a horsehair insert. And again, we'd be a couple seasons behind, so this outfit does not feature that specifically. In a one color pervading palette, so they utilized all the same color up and down, as opposed to the earlier fashion trends, which would have been loud, garish colors. There was a more healthier waistline, so if you want to show the waist of that, not featuring the really, really tightly laced tiny waists, and trains were shortened for travel and workability. The hair, if you want to go ahead and turn, would be featured in a more natural braided chignon rather than a false, really towering height of fake or false hair. The hats became a more natural lidded hat rather than a small jockey hat for ornamentation. Okay, so go ahead and turn. Marnie, anything else you want to tell us about this particular costume?
Yeah, normally the women out in the daytime, they always wore gloves. They would have a parasol to keep themselves from the sun, because unlike today, they did not like the sun. They did not want color. So Maggie's actually a perfect model for this. She has the perfect complexion.
And then also for the shoes, there would have been a high-heeled boot, which also improved the posture of the time, but allowed for travel on roads that were not necessarily paved or finished or cobbled. It was for hygiene and for travelability. Joining us now is Bryn Merritt, who is a local Johnson Elementary student. She is wearing the height of fashion for a young girl in 1871. Notice that she's wearing the eyelet. The light colors were also indicative of privilege. Laundry was not as accessible. Laundry washing and fabric washing was not as accessible. And so all of the ladies of the time would have, for nice dress, would have had fabrics that were heavy silks and satins, and the kiddos wore light colors to show privilege. You can see some of the detail with satin in the ribbon embellishment. And then also hats were always worn when outside. Same with parasols, and she may have had gloves, she may not have, depending on where she was going. If she was just with a nanny or if she was playing with other children of her class, she may not have had them. Boots were worn by everyone at the time. Footwear, especially out here, would have had to have been workable and stable. Leather was the natural fabric for those, or material for those, because it was protective as well as pretty. And so a lot of embellishment and embossing would happen on leather.
And also, younger children, their skirts would not be all the way down like the older women was. This allows them to run and play. It doesn't get as dirty, especially this material. And they would have been roughly and pretty every time they went out, except when they went out to play.
They would lower skirts right around 15 or 16 to show that they were actually of marriageable age. So until then, they would wear hair down or with braids, and then when their skirts were lowered, their hair was put up. And so it was almost a ritualistic, sort of like a sweet 16, ready to get married. So thank you, Bryn, for that one. This next look is going to be what we're going to call Sunday best or church best. So you'll see that Jay is sporting the Umberg, which is the rounded top hat. It's a little less formal than the top hat. Necktie that is the earliest rendition of what a actual, now what we see as the Windsor knot. It's not quite an ascot, but it's moving from an ascot and a cravat to a necktie. He's got the walking stick, which also shows that he has a little bit of esteem and position in town. And also we see a pattern on the jacket. This time period is the beginning of gentlemen incorporating pattern on jackets. What he's wearing is a traditional seersucker, which actually is a little bit later in the 1800s and more south because of its breathability in fabric, but it's a great example of how you can put some pattern into the shirts or jackets for gentlemen to keep it a little bit interesting. Men kind of didn't get to really play with color until later in the 20th century, so we're happy to be able to offer Jay a little bit of fancy. This is Sunday best. If you want to give it a twirl for me, so we can see back the cut.
Nice cut.
Yep.
Allows them to sit, allows them to ride in the buggy easier.
And this would be a morning coat or a frock coat for daytime commitments that were a little bit more formal, or
Right.
as we're calling it, Sunday best.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. All right, next we've got Maggie and the Sunday best look. There was a huge transition for women going into the Midwest because you had functionality that came into fashion. So we've got the breathable fabrics. Long sleeves were assumed at most times, unless it was bedclothes or bathing costume, which came later. We've got the gloves, again, to protect skin, and also hands from rains of buggies and all of the different horseback riding activities. Head cover always, and again we see the introduction of the straw hat and a little bit of bling at the throat with a brooch. Earrings would have been few and far between because they did not have pierced ears at that time. They would have had a screwback earring, but again those would have been very cherished and would have only come out for special occasions like church. We have the cinched waist, more natural waist with a belt on the outside to accentuate the narrow waist. And then if you want to move your hands a little, we have the peplum rounded bottom that is seen on top of the skirt. For all the necessities that a lady would need to bring, whether it was money or compact, anything like that, we have what is beginnings of a purse known as a reticule or reticule, and indispensable. And it's usually a bag that has a cinched top. And then this is one of the coolest pieces that Marta has found. Her skirt is actually a modified pant. At the time, women still did not wear pants, but there would be an expectation of perhaps riding horses or getting in and out of the buggy, being able to do to navigate around. Again, no bustle is present, so this would be a little bit of a later, but allowing her to have functionality, and again the same type boot.
Right.
Your shoes were your shoes.
Yeah, they didn't own a lot of shoes.
You see the embellishment of the lace, which was very dear back then. They would get bolts of fabric to the general store and make it, everything was bespoke or homespun. It was made at home. And so for all of you crafters that we have here in town, these might be some inspirations for making your own costume going into June, but you can always come visit us at the costume shop to accentuate with accessories and hats and gloves and the like to really give it that flavor of the 1870s. So thank you for that. Next, we have Bryn showing Sunday best for our kiddos. We've got a longer skirt here, same boots as before. Got the church gloves for formality. And again, straw hat in showing the trend that we saw with the ladies' look. And then in addition of a shawl, especially in the heat, you may have for children having long or short sleeved, but they would have added some sort of sun protection that was also breathable so that they could appear a little bit more formal in church, but not die of the heat, which is always a plus. Give us a little twirl there, Brittany. Nice, there you go.
She's got some cute little ruffles on the back for fullness.
Yep, she's got the stacked ruffles, which if we want to show the bow which mimics the adult version of the bustle, so this would be indicative of her getting a little bit older and a little more formal for church. All right, this next look is everyday working man. So the hat was integral to your livelihood. It protected you from the sun. We did not have sunglasses back then. And so that was a way to not only keep you cool, but also protect your eyes and give you a little bit of respite from the sun. Again, homespun fabrics, things that are cotton and breathable, unless it was more rugged. Yep. Built to take wear and tear unless it was the winter, and then it was layer, layer, layer. Trousers that were built to last. The blue jeans, denim, was invented a long, long time ago, but the incarnation we know of it as Levi Strauss's 501 jeans were not invented until 1873. So you would have had a denim or a cotton or a leather modification in trousers that allowed for wear and tear, and then boots, various types depending on your livelihood and level of cleanliness while working. Belts were leather, and leather was expensive, so you did see the use of suspenders to keep pants where they belonged. This is our everyday. Next up is our ladies' everyday look. Again, you see the everyday clothes that are going to take wear and tear. They did not buy clothes, they built clothes, and if they did buy it ready-made, it was very expensive, and so they got the life out of their clothes. Mending, darning, making sure that we're taking care of what protects us from the elements. So we have just a basic denim type shirt and skirt, same boots, hat, again, protecting us from the sun, but also we see the apron. The apron was so versatile. Not only did it protect our basic outfit, it became a towel, it became how we carried chicken feed, it became how we moved the pans off of the hot stove. So you would have had a house apron, you probably would have had a going out apron. The apron was an integral piece of clothing.
And quite often the shirts would have even been their husbands. They could have been really big.
Yep, for sure. Yep. Things were not, they were made to fit by them making them fit, not ready-made.
Right.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, so give it a swirl so we can see what the looks. Lots of layers again for comfort and durability. Okay, Brandon's joining us now with Kids Every Day. So this is where we get to talk about hand-me-downs. If a piece of clothing survived the wear and tear of all the sisters or all the brothers, it became yours. Ta-da! It's yours now. And so even though these skirts might be a little bit longer on her, it probably belonged to her older sister and it was saved and loved and cared for. We do see, again, the shorter sleeve for children, absence of gloves. She would have been roughhousing and being out there helping with chores, and the ever-present hat. It wasn't a requirement, but it was definitely a luxury, and the fact that she has embellishment on it was probably, again, a hand-me-down or something that got too small for somebody else. They could get more use out of it. So, awesome.
Good job.
Thanks, Bryn.
Now I'm going to show you a DIY look that you can go to Goodwill, get things. Actually, you can wear a pair of your own pants out of your closet if you want. In those days, though, their pants were baggier, so actually you can go to Goodwill, get a pair of pants, and wear those. I found a vest out at Goodwill. It was actually a three-piece suit, but it was cheap enough. If you don't have a shirt with no collar, you can take a regular shirt, flip the collar under, because they always had the no collar look. And then this is actually a woman's hat, although it's close enough to the man's hat that we can get by its straw. So this would actually be an everyday look. He would also probably take his sleeves, roll them up because it's in the summertime. That gives him a different look. If he doesn't have boots, he can actually even just wear shoes, make sure they're black or not tennis shoes or anything like that. And guys are very easy to dress. Can I have your hand? I have a little hair tie. The scrunchies would have been a little thicker and fatter. This gives them kind of the big city tough guy look to them. You can do something like that. There's a zillion different things that you can actually use. It doesn't have to be a shirt like this. Put a t-shirt on them. It would be anything like that. So that's the guy's look.
The other option too is if you are able to find pieces from Goodwill or a place like Mini Hands that is local that has a part or a piece you want to build your costume around, you can come up to the costume shop and find accessories like a vest that may fit or a hat that may work that again isn't necessarily the exact style and shape but would work for that outfit that you're building.
This look is totally from Goodwill. I have a hat that I found, not necessarily this color to go with this, but I didn't want to change it because this is exactly the way I found it. I think it cost me $2 out at Goodwill. This is just a tunic. It's a bigger woman's tunic, and I know it's too big, so I again took a hair tie, did it in the back like this, and almost resembles a little bustle. She has a top on underneath of it. This is just one of the modern day skirts that's adjustable. She could pull it up if she wanted it shorter. She could pin it if it's too big. There's a lot of things that we could do with that. Now if you want the little more of a prairie look, I found this cute pillowcase, sorry, out at Goodwill, and I thought, wow, that's really a good look. So I took a belt, an elastic waist belt, flipped the pillowcase over the top, and we now have a cute little apron. Makes it a little more prairie looking, but it's a good look. Okay, if you don't have the hats, I do have hats here at the costume shop. I also have aprons. I do have a few boots, turn of the century boots, that would be okay for that. With this skirt, I could also take it and use it on a little girl, turn it into a little jumper by putting some ribbons on it. And that would be a cute little skirt for a dress for a little girl. Again, I would probably do an apron or a ribbon or something like that. So there we have it.
Awesome. Lots of versatile options.
For the little kids look, I know I did find everything of this at Goodwill. This is actually a boy's shirt, but we don't care about that. This is a little summer sundress. I could either put the shirt on the outside to disguise the fact that it's a little more modern, or I'd put it on the inside so she's a little more comfortable. And then, this is actually a belt that's probably bigger, even too big for me, but I just tied it like this. I didn't even put it through a hole or anything. Then, also at Goodwill, I found this little napkin. And turn around. I pinned some ribbons on it, on the side of it, folded it over so it's her size, and made a little apron out of that because little kids' aprons are harder to come by, but I thought, wow, that's almost a perfect size for her. And again, she has her little boots on. The little girls probably would have worn tights, so they were all covered when they were out in the sun. This hat, we could embellish it. It's actually a man's hat, but it'll work for her. We could put some flowers on there, just hot glue them on. We could do several different things. I have a few little kids' hats here, and I have a few of the littler kids' clothes. If you want to come up, and maybe we can help you, give you a few more ideas that we can work with.
I love this option, Marta, because you really utilize the types of fabrics and the textures of the types of fabrics they would have.
Right.
The really breathability of the dress, even though it's high-low, covering it with the apron gives it a homespun look to it. And then the collarless shirt of the boys was a real find. Yeah. Good job. That's awesome.
There we go.
Thanks, Bryn. Thank you for joining us at the SCT Costume Shop. We hope that you found this information helpful when planning your sesquicentennial costumes and celebrations this summer. If you're not a costumey type person and you just want to be in the spirit of Flag Fest, red, white, and blue is always a great option. Or you can visit presscollection.com and support a local business here on Grand and go to their sesquicentennial dedicated collection and find gear to wear there. We all found it and we're super excited. Thanks for joining us here at the SCT Costume Shop.
Yay!